It's Open Championship week, and we are pumped here at the Tour Junkies to preview the DraftKings DFS slate. Now, the one thing you got to know about the Open Championship is you got to be patient. You got to wait on the weather, the tee time advantages, all that good stuff. But we're here to talk about it early. Let's talk about where we think ownership could land, maybe where some early pivots might be, and just walk through the ranges, walk through some names, maybe do a range draft or something fun like that. We're going to mix it up this show as me and Pat break it down. But first, I'm really excited to bring to you an interview from the Caddie Master at the Old Course. He's been there for 10 plus years. He's caddied in Open Championships before. His name is Fraser Riddler. He was very kind with his time, and he gave us a ton of insight about how the golf course is going to play, how it's set up, conditions, key things to think about, players who have been at the Old Course early, getting their time in, and a bunch of other good pieces of information to know before, betting or playing on DraftKings. So, without further ado, we're going to start with Fraser, and then me and Pat are going to pick it up and enjoy. One of the things that's been talked about, I think, is just like the length of the Old Course and maybe the challenge that, the R&A and the folks at the Old Course may be facing with modern equipment and how far these guys are hitting it. So, like, have you heard anything about like how they're going to set it up or how long they're going to have this thing playing or how much they can manipulate tee boxes? And even in the future, like, have you heard anything about plans with the Old Course?
No, there's no plans for the Old Course. Unfortunately, the property we've got, there's very little that they can do with it now for stretching it. There's maybe one or two holes that they could potentially look at stretching, but very little. Now, a couple of holes that they would stretch, it wouldn't make any difference. You'd finish in the same landing zones and playing areas. So the Old Course is the Old Course. Certainly, modern technology is a challenge at all courses, and none's more so probably than the old. There's probably 12 holes on the Old Course where these golfers, with the length they hit it, are probably going to hit 8 iron or less into, and that's their scoring clubs. So the challenges with the setup is, a very, very difficult one. Grant Moyer at the R&A does a phenomenal job. I genuinely think he's one of the best in the world at setting golf courses up fairly. Certainly, they're going to look at tucking away some flags as best they can, using some new positions that they've probably not used before or not for a long time, and challenge these guys because, as it says on the tin, these guys are as good as it gets.
Yeah. So with, obviously the wind is always the ultimate factor here. But what do you think they want the winning score to be? Like we talk about that all the time with a lot of these major championships. We feel like, these tournament directors have this winning score they have in mind based on conditions. What do you think they want that to be at the Old Course?
I think if you look through recent history at the course there, you're looking double digits anyway. And if you get benign conditions, you're probably looking at someone going, 4 under, 5 under on a regular basis around the Old Course. So you're looking at somewhere 17, 18. But if when they get challenged, it could be as low as 9.
So with the firm conditions, like it really does seem, and with the golf course not playing all that long, it does seem like it really opens it up to anybody in the field. Would you agree? I mean, you don't have to be the longest hitter in the field. A guy, that's one of the shorter, more precise types can definitely get it out there plenty far enough and still have scoring clubs in hand.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you look through the past champions at St Andrews, that proves it. Guys like Zach Johnson and Louis, who are not the longest hitters, but really good ball strikers, good wedge players, and whoever puts the best will probably take away the trophy. Certainly, the feeling in the local area is it's going to be who holds the most putts. Like most tournaments, we'll go away with the trophy. You're going to see. I think the one thing that the Old Course can guarantee is a really good crowded leaderboard over the weekend.
Yeah.
You're going to probably have, guys tee it up Saturday, Sunday who are within 2 or 3 shots of one another. And it is a golf course without a doubt that someone from 3 or 4 back can make a run on a Sunday and come through and shoot 63, 64 and run the field and put the pressure on the guys who are coming in.
I love that. So one of the things that I found super challenging just in playing golf in Scotland in general, but definitely at the Old Course, was sight lines off the tee. And we got to play it with leaderboards up, with scoreboard, infrastructure coming up, and so our caddies were pointing at those things. How tough is it, do you think, for like a guy who's never played it before, or, and maybe he also has a caddy who doesn't have a lot of experience out here. Like, I guess, is that really the biggest, or the biggest challenge for an inexperienced player, is kind of learning those sight lines off the tee, where they can land it, where the ball's going to run out, to possible trouble or not? Or do you think it's around the greens? Like, where do you think the guys that have the little experience, where do you think they're going to struggle the most?
The guys with little experience, their struggle was actually a combination of getting the winds correct and how it affects the shots into the greens and the landing points on the greens. Because you'll experience not all the greens are completely flat. It's some buried
Yeah.
elephants in places. There's some humps. There's
Yeah.
mounds. There's little subtleties. There's left to right slopes. So when they start tucking these flags away into these positions for the best players, they become more pronounced. So it's actually the approach shots coming in is probably the key thing for guys who have got experience. They know the different trajectories to use coming in, the winds that are coming in, where they can feed things in from, where they need to hold things off against the wind to try and land it soft. I think that's the key factor. It was probably the approach play. Certainly off the tee box, there is a number of holes that, from the back tees especially, are blind tee shots. But as I say in professional golf, most these guys have got cheat codes because they can pretty much aim at a TV tower, and it's normally a pretty damn good line.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a cheat code off the tee, but there is a few holes that are particularly key that you do need to get your lines off of. The two par fives are absolutely essential that every given day with the wind direction where the middle of the fairway is, because if you miss it right on 5, you're in the Seven Sisters bunkers, and you've got no chance to get into the green. It's a wedge out sideways, and that's a really gimme birdie hole for these guys. And 14 is just the tee shot on 14 is very demanding, even for the distance that these guys hit it. You've got the beardy bunkers left, which we will see plenty of guys in, and again, it's a wedge out. And if you wedge out from there, you're left with 240 into the green. And if it's in off the right, which is standard, these guys aren't getting home, so it makes it difficult. And 14 as well, when you stand on that back tee, you can pretty much only see out of bounds and the times. There's a few holes that the guys with inexperience may struggle with, but it's doing the Tiger thing, knowing where the miss is and keep out the bunkers.
Yeah, those bunkers were so gnarly. What about so what is the prevailing wind direction out there? Is it?
Yeah, normally it's a kind of a westerly or southwesterly. So if you're playing the front nine, you're kind of got it off the left to right. And then when you're coming home, you're getting it right to left. And the trick of the old is to just make sure you know where it's coming from. Even in the last week there, we've had 3 different wind directions in about 4 days. We've had a northerly breeze, which at this time of year is quite unusual. That means the front nine's dead into and the back nine's straight down. So that's different. You get an easterly breeze, which is the complete opposite. You're playing right to left on the front nine so it's a different challenge. And one of the great things that the guys hopefully would know is that being on a links golf course, we've got the Eden Estuary at the back of the 11th and the 7th green there. And when the tide comes and goes, the wind will change directions, or it will certainly drop. So these guys have got to be aware of the tidal changes and stuff like that as well, because you can be going up the first 4 or 5 holes, playing the wind in off the left and a decent wind, and then you get a 16, all of a sudden the wind will just drop for 3 holes, and you can fire at every flag with no breeze. But you've got to know that wind's going to come back up again in the next 5-10 minutes in the next hole or two, and you've got to be careful because it might have completely switched on you, or it might come back out the same direction. But you've got to be aware of these things.
It's a different game in Scotland, man. I just loved it. I loved how much you had to think on the golf course there. All right, it's giveaway time on the Tour Junkies podcast. It's a big week. We're going to give away a TaylorMade driver, brand new to somebody, deliver it to your door. You're welcome. Also, 2 people are going to win $250 in Prize Picks money that you can play on whatever you want over on Prize Picks. We love it. Thank you to Prize Picks for helping us out. Here's how you enter. You can enter 3 times. 3 times. All you got to do is do one of 3 things, or all of these things. We prefer you do all of them to enter. The first thing you got to do is subscribe to the email list. We send out 2 weekly emails every single week when you're betting or playing DFS on the PGA Tour. One hits on Tuesday, one hits on Wednesday. Heavy petting on Tuesday, Wednesday's the chalk bomb. The link to sign up for that is in the description below. If you're already subscribed, fantastic. Guess what? You've already got one entry. The second way is you can leave us an Apple podcast and a Spotify podcast or a Spotify podcast review, 5 stars, and write something in the review. We will check those as well. If you've already done that, great. You can do it again. So if you've ever written a review, you can write a new one. That helps you out, okay? That link is also in the description. And the third and final thing you can do to get an entry is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tons of new content every single week. Subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed, guess what? You've already got an entry. We will announce the winner in the Chalk Bomb email next week for the 3M Open. So you got 3 different ways to enter, and the winner is going to get a free brand new TaylorMade driver, and then second, third place are going to get $250 on Prize Picks. You're welcome. Let's have a week, and back to the show. So what would you say, like, for scoring purposes, what do you think is the easiest wind for these guys to have in terms of making birdies and scoring?
I think anything that's not straight downwind. I think if it's left or right, they can manipulate things easy. So they can hold in shots, or they can or use the wind to feed them into flags. So I think if they've got a westerly or a southwest or a wind, they've probably got the best chance. That's the kind of standard wind. The guys will know that the most. If you get something that's out the north or kind of southeast, then you're starting to look at playing most of the holes straight down and straight into. And although these guys are brilliant, you can hold off when it's really hard and fast. You're coming in downwind is probably harder than playing into the wind, because you're landing things short and just hoping you get the right bounce and it runs out to the right direction. So I think from my point of view, certainly they get a standard kind of westerly breeze where it's coming across the golf course. They can use that to feed into flags easiest.
So it sounds like you're really saying the key for the week is going to be approach play, which tends to be key in most golf tournaments, right? But I mean, one of the things you've already kind of alluded to it. One of the things we realize, and we're based out of Augusta, Georgia. Everybody talks about how when you get to Augusta National, you don't realize how much slope is on the property and on the greens. I definitely did not expect the amount of slope on the old course greens that I saw when we got there. I expected them to be much flatter. There was a ton of slope and undulation, and a lot of trouble from chipping around them to, God forbid, having to get out of a bunker near those greens or just putting on them in general. And I could totally see where, like, creativity and touch around those greens is important. So, I mean, speak to that just a little bit, just like the conditions around the greens and what these guys have to do to be able to get it in the hole when they get up there and they get an opportunity.
I think with any links golf course, and the old course is no different. I think the variety of shots that it can lead to around the greens is the great thing. Guys who watch the PGA Tour on a regular basis, it's pretty much as soon as they miss the green, they pull the 58 or the lob edge out, and they're walking from 150 yards out, and they know what shot they're going to hit.
Yeah.
When you get to the links, you don't pull the club, you walk up and
Yep.
you find out what you've got, because you could have a variety of 4 different shots. You could be able to pull the lob edge out off a tight lie and take it over a slope and check one up and let it release. You could get the 9-iron or a pitching wedge out and bump and run something up a slope and even pass the flag and use some of the slopes on the green to feed it back down. Same guy, you'll see a lot of guys take the putter out this week. And even from maybe 30, 40 yards short of some of these greens, you'll see guys putting from 30, 40 yards out, because the fairways are running tremendous.
Yeah.
They are firm. So a lot of guys will instead of taking the wedge from 30 or 40 yards, and it's a really tight cut that they've got at the moment, some guys will take the putter out from there and use that. But for the slopes around the greens, there's a few holes out there that are flat. I'm thinking of like the 9's a pretty flat green, but 9's a brilliant green because there is so many little subtleties to it that it's actually more challenging to hole a putt. You will see multiple pros next week in the Open miss 10, 12 footers that they thought were dead center, and the last minute it just breaks off a little. It's a great subtle green. And I think the being so flat, the approach play into that's key. The guys have got to trust their number, because it just doesn't look as far as it is. You'll see lots of guys come up short playing into 9. They'll come up that 4 or 5 yards short of the flag, or even 6, 7 yards short. And instead of having a comfortable 10 footer that they're really keen to make, you've got 20 feet, and now you're you're hoping to make it instead of expecting. And I think that's a subtlety that you don't see on TV. And then you can get on some of the greens, as you well know. You've seen it now. You get to the 11th, the par 3, that thing can get out of hand pretty quick when the wind gets up. You've got the shelf on the left-hand side of the green there that they've flattened a little bit to be able to put some pins in there for the open, but that's still got a good slope from back to front. If you put that pin up on the back right section of that green, it's a steep uphill slope that you're going to putt up to with a big swing on it as well. And these guys are trying to just hit the middle of the green and two putt and get out of there, and that's key. I think most of the pros next week will have really good greens and regulation stats, but some of their putting stats might suffer a little bit next week.
We're not going to see great 3-putt avoidance stats on that golf course, and
Yeah.
certainly if you talk to the caddy that I had out there, our friend Robert Thorpe, great caddy by the way, he saw a lot of 3-putts out of my ass.
That's standard practice. Don't worry.
All right, who's your pick to win? Who's your pick? We're going to put you on the spot, Fraser. Who's your pick?
I tell you, the only advice I will give anybody is keep your money in your pocket until the draw is made, and until you check the weather forecast, because the wrong side of the draw, Justin Thomas is one of the guys that I have whinged more than anybody else about the wrong side of the draw. And trust me, in an Open Championship, the wrong side of the draw is a thing. So before anyone parts with any hard-earned money, have a look at that draw and have a look at the wind conditions for the first couple of days, and then try and pick your winner from there. But I think, as we've said before, everybody in the field genuinely has a chance, because as long as you can stay out the bunkers off the tee, which most of these guys can, you've got a lot of scoring clubs coming in, and then it'll come down to who can hole enough putts. So you could see anybody like a Cam Smith run the tables, or you could see someone like Joaquin Niemann get hot and go through, and no one's going to count out Scotty Scheffler or anything like that. But I genuinely think it is a wide open championship that anyone can come through.
I mean, even at the Scottish right now, like it didn't look like a huge advantage, but there's been an advantage, right? The guys that got out early on Thursday morning at the Renaissance Club, you know, had a small window to score and kind of get a head start, and then that wind came in, and anybody who played in the afternoon on Thursday that didn't get a decent round in is probably pretty boned for Friday. So
yeah. I mean, I know I was always keen to check the weather forecast and make sure Thursday morning wasn't too windy, and I was more than delighted to get an early morning Thursday morning start, and you can get out there and make some birdies early, especially on the old course. You're looking to make a score through the first 12 holes.
Yeah.
And then from 13 onwards, if you can play par golf through 17 and then your final birdie chance on 18, that's awesome. If you can be 5-6 under, you know, on a daily basis through that front 12 holes, and then get to 18 at 5-6 still under, you're in with a great shout every day.
Fraser, listen, we thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you hopping on the Tour Junkies podcast, and we'll be watching and paying attention, and we love the Open. We got a bunch of caddy friends that'll be in the caddy house there. You know, our buddy Aaron Fleener, it'll be his first time to Scotland. We call him Big Cat. He caddies for JT Poston. Let me tell you, if your caddy guys love some country music, you know, you need to have Aaron Fleener stand up and sing a little Garth Brooks for everybody in the caddy house, and tell him the Tour Junkies tipped you off that he had the voice of an angel.
You tell him to come and see me, then I don't mind a bit of Luke Coombs or bits and pieces like that. So yeah, you tell him to come and see me up at the first tee. We're right next to the recorder, so send him my direction. We'll look after him, that's for sure.
Yes, we'll put him on the map. Sounds good.
There
Thank
you
you,
go.
Fraser.
Perfect.
We appreciate you coming on.
All right, guys.
All right, that is the interview with our boy Fraser, the caddy master at the Old Course. Now, listen, if you're wondering where's Pat, hang on. He's about to be here, okay? If you're like, DB, I'm tired of seeing just you at these freaking videos, you know, I'm about to introduce Pat. We have a very special treat for you tonight to open up the Open Championship show, which we are so excited for. You know, we're going to do a little different tonight. You heard that in the intro. Breaking down the DFS slate. We're ready for the Old Course, fresh off our Scotland trip, inspired by our friends over there at the home of golf in Scotland. And I couldn't be happier. As always, we're presented to you by our friends at Fantasy National. FantasyNational.com is where you need to go to get all the stats, everything you need from a betting, DFS, golf standpoint is all right there. We've been using them for 5 years or so. They are the best when it comes to, lineup builders, optimizers. If you do betting, they have all the betting tools that you need. And all you got to do is go to fantasynational.com/TJ, promo code Tour Junkies gets you 20% off any level membership. They have weekly, monthly, and annual memberships for you to try out. And if you use the promo code and then you upgrade the membership, you still get to keep the 20% off. So give it a test drive for the Open Championship. You're going to need it. All the recent form, strokes gained data, you can build your own models. We're going to talk about that tonight. Anything that we reference in terms of a stat is pretty much coming from Fantasy National, and it has for the last 5 years. So fantasynational.com/TJ is where it's at. And we appreciate them supporting the podcast. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Pat Perry.
Sons of TJ Nation, I am Pat William Wallace Perry.
Coolio Wallace.
And I see a whole army of golf addicts here ready to play DFS. You have come here to roster 6 men, and 6 men you are free to roster on DK.
Woo!
What would you do without that freedom? Would you play Fanduel?
No.
Nay. I run models and you'll win. Join the Nut Hut and Fantasy National with promo code TJ, and your screens will become green.
Yeah!
But never will you overexpose yourself to Keegan Bradley.
Oh, well, maybe. Why not? Why not?
And lying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the 6 of 6s from this day for one chance, just one chance to early screenshot the thousands you're winning on Thursday?
Maybe.
Why? Because they may take our $5 single entries, but they will never drink our podcast juice.
Yeah! Tequila! Yeah! Yeah!
Woo! Ha! I'm ready for the Open, DB. Scotland. The old course. St. Andrews.
Dude, that fired me up, man.
Yes.
That was great. Bravo, Pat.
Oh, I'm just ready, man. I'm ready for the Open.
God, that was amazing. If you're a podcast listener, I mean, dude, I legitimately got goosebumps.
I feel like the levels may be off a little bit on the sound.
It was so good. I got goosebumps at one point. I don't know what that says about my DraftKings addiction or my excitement for the Open Championship, but it definitely fired me up, man. That was beautiful. And I love the braids, the commitment to the braids, the face paint. What did you use for face paint there? That looks homemade. Is that?
No, it's from a local store. Don't have a lot of face paint around here when it's not Halloween. Okay. And then I noticed that, in the pictures he has I don't have the hair for William Wallace, obviously. I didn't have time to get the wig. So I noticed he's got these little side braids. So that's what I got.
Coolio Wallace, baby.
That's what I got here.
God dang it, man. You're a beautiful man, and that's a beautiful speech. And I appreciate you being committed to that. Now, you're paying off a bet that you lost. The Denny's bet is officially paid.
Yeah.
And I will be paying the Edward 40 Hands bet on the betting show. And by the way, speaking of podcast juice, you brought it up. I'm sucking down some tequila tonight. I've made a very generous pour of Paloma. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
I saw you chug the beer.
Well, I chugged a little bit of a beer, so that's kind of a backup. But I'm going with a little Tito's this evening. So
Tito's, okay.
We're recording on a Friday night, so it's I can go with the Tito's.
I'm also using my Done Vegan St. Andrews coaster tonight. Oh, you as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
All those from the Done Vegan. Praise God. God dang. I'm excited about the Open Championship. I love the interview with our boy Fraser Riddler, the Caddie Master at St. Andrews. Gave us a lot of great information there. Let's get into it, Pat. So we're going to do a little different tonight. It is the Friday night before the Open Championship. It's Scottish Open Friday night. So we've seen who's made the cut, who's missed the cut. But obviously we're far out, right? Like we're far out from the being able to really lock some things in. But we wanted to run through the DFS pricing, the DFS slate, talk through where we think things might happen. So it's going to be a little different format. We're not going to be giving you our hard and fast picks, like we do on a weekly Monday night. Because, if you were paying attention to our boy Fraser, the thing that he said, the number one tip that he gave the people was be patient. Okay. Now Pat's all got us all hot and lathered and, touching ourselves or maybe a family member. But you got to contain the excitement a little bit, right? You got to be patient because it's open week. I know everybody's antsy. I talked about it on Twitter a little bit today. Don't blow your wad early and hold your unit. Just hold your unit. That's the word, that's the phrase for the weekend. Hold your unit.
Yeah.
Don't fire yet because the tee time wave advantage is a real thing here at the Open, at the Open almost every year. And the wind is a real thing. And we're going to see what's up. Okay. So let's hold off. Now, later on in the week, we will probably do another DraftKings show. It may just be me and a guest, or maybe me. I don't know. We'll do a DraftKings show where we're a little more established on weather and all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about some things to remember, Pat. And, I think we start with some of the other things that Fraser mentioned. Like anything stand out to you outside of the, outside of obviously the be patient part that Fraser was talking about?
Well, he talked about the firm and fast conditions, and he hopes that they stay that way. And I think that's important. When we were there, we didn't have a lot of rain either, and they were pretty firm and fast. But I think when you get that firm and fast, those conditions, it does bring a lot of players into the fold. He mentioned that not just the bombers are going to be the ones to look at if it gets firm and fast. So and they want that. They want those greens quick. And they want the fairways quick. So they're rolling out, out of the fairway into those bunkers and whatever else. So, I mean, that's just how that course is designed to play. So that was one thing that, really kind of just stood out for me, other than, definitely him talking about the weather and the wind and that kind of thing.
I think the winning score was also interesting. I mean, it's interesting that RNA doesn't really care what the winning score turns out to be, but he definitely makes it sound like this place is gettable, and we know it is if it doesn't get the weather. They can't stretch it out as long as they'd like to for major championships. It's a par 72, playing around 7,300 yards, 2 par 3s and 2 par 5s. That's it. But the par 4s are pretty gettable. The par 3s aren't super long by most tour standards, if you will. I think the longest one's like 188 from the tips or something. So it's definitely gettable. It's all going to be wind dependent. But I mean, he said if we get no real wind, he was like, dude, this thing could creep up to 17 or 18 under, which is definitely going to bring a lot of variance in and of itself, even without the weather. When you have a birdie fest like that, it'll be interesting. But he kind of felt like that 11 to 13, 14 under might be the winning score. But if it's very tough, if the conditions or whatever, pretty windy and brutal, it could be, 5 under to 8 under. But he still felt like it was going to be under par. This is not like a U.S. Open situation at the old course. But yeah, I love that it's playing firm. All the stuff he gave on the wind, I thought was interesting. Like, in fact, he mentioned that as far as like what's tough for a first timer or somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience on this golf course. He mentioned the wind being the number one thing, which I thought was unique. So they got to kind of get their bearings with that quickly if they get up there to the old course and start practicing, early. But I also thought the wind intel was interesting, and some of the questions I was asking him was kind of along the Prize Picks vein, which if you're in the Nut Hut, we're constantly dishing out Prize Picks plays and people winning a bunch of money there. So that's one reason why I asked that. So we'll talk about that further in the Nut Hut, and maybe you can take notes on that. Other than that, I mean, he pretty much said this is about your approach play, dealing with the wind, controlling your ball flight, controlling trajectory, controlling your distances, and then it's creativity, it's touch around and on the
Around the
greens.
greens.
Because as you and I know, even when you're on the green, I mean, he talked about all the 3 putts out here and the 3 putt avoidance and, the distance putts
Yeah.
that you handled very well at the old course. I handled very poorly at the old course.
Well, that was another thing that I would point out was that 3-putt avoidance. You really do have to be, when we think about being creative around the greens, we don't just, a lot of times we just think scrambling.
Yeah.
But you actually have to be creative with your putting on, especially on these greens, because there's a ton of undulation. They're big greens. I mean, you can have a very long putt out here. You've got to be creative with. You got to know the contours of the greens. I think having a caddy that knows his stuff really well, just like Frazier does, is important for these guys. Experience, that kind of thing. Because I do think these greens are very tough, and you've got to be able to know how to putt them. And so I think that's definitely important, and one of the things that I heard him say in that interview.
Yeah, I mean the Open Championship is one of those, especially when it's at St. Andrews. It's a lot like the Masters, where like experience comes into play, and it is a real thing. Open Championship performance, links golf performance is all a very real thing to look at. We'll talk about it tonight, and we also see plenty of guys. I mean, we see a lot of Open champions arrive having flashed some really solid form in the weeks leading up to it. And also a lot of good performances coming out of the Scottish Open, which is finishing up right now over the weekend. So that's something to look at. Zach Johnson won here the last time it was at the old course in 2015 at 15 under. He beat Louis Oosthuizen and Mark Leishman in a playoff. Louis Oosthuizen won in 2010, and Tiger won in 2005 and 2000. Just to give you an idea. And there's a lot of names here this week that were also here in 2015, and we'll bring those up as we get to them. I think another thing to look at, just as you're looking at links golf record, obviously the Scottish Open is one to watch. The Irish Open the week before the Scottish, but the Alfred Dunhill Links, which Pat and I played all 3 courses of the Alfred Dunhill Links rotation. That golf tournament on the DP World Tour is a big one. There's a lot of big names that play in it, but it's contended on 3 golf courses: Kingsbarns, Carnoustie, and the Old Course. And if you make the cut, you play the Old Course twice.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Alfred Dunhill links correlation. A lot of big names play in that. We'll talk about winners, past performance of that. But that would be another golf course. If you look at the Old Course and go, well, man, they haven't played here since 2015. Go back and look at the Alfred Dunhill Links event. I think that's important as well. Anything else in terms of? I mean, obviously, like we said, we need to wait on the weather. I do think, though, with the weather, this will be in our email on Wednesday, the Chalk Bomb email, and we'll obviously talk about it in the Wednesday night chat. But, stacking waves, it's probably not a bad idea, even if there looks to be a clear wave advantage one way. Probably not a bad idea to still stack the opposite wave, just in case this Scottish weather changes on a dime, which it can, and it can impact scores a lot. So, if you're playing mass entry contests, it's probably a good idea to hedge a little bit one direction, and be ready to stack both waves if you need to. Other than that, I mean, it's a major championship week, so obviously a stacked field. You can't play all the studs. We talk about that. You're going to have to plant your flag and fade some guys, but there is some chalk out there you can eat. We'll talk about that. Anything else, Pat, like in terms of just reminders, things to kind of set the table?
I think heading into, now that we've seen what happened today, really, with the Scottish Open and the cut, like I think that it's already made me not put a whole lot of stock in the Scottish Open with some of the. I mean, there was a ton of guys that were very big name players that, and I thought this would happen, and I should have actually, when I was building my lineups for the Scottish, I should have actually been more convicted with thinking what I thought, which is what there's a lot of guys that, I'm not saying they mailed it in, but there's a lot of guys that I think were just trying a bunch of stuff. It's not a true links test anyway. So they were playing. So I think that was one thing. I think if they actually had a true links test, they may have tried to really, play this tournament a little bit different at the Scottish. But I don't know. I mean, I know it's Friday and we've just got the cut line, so we don't know who's going to win. But I still already don't know how much stock I'm going to put it all in the Scottish Open.
I mean, it's not like the best links course to me. Obviously, the Renaissance Club built in like 2008, and it was Tom Doak design. Like irritates the crap out of me that that's what they picked to play the Scottish Open. I mean, at least you have this. It was firm. We saw conditions were firm, and at least for today, especially Friday, there was wind, and these
Oh
guys
yeah,
were contending in
it
wind.
was tough for them. Yeah,
Yeah. So so I think I'm kind of with you on both in both ways. Like if a guy missed the cut, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like even Justin Thomas, who missed it like
yeah,
+10 and the
yeah.
cut was like +3.
I just
I
don't
don't
even.
I don't care. Right.
No.
But a guy, like Jordan Smith making the cut and playing well, like to me, I kind of give him an uptick there. I mean, now he's had a good year leading up to this anyway, and he's a good player, but like I do think there are some lesser known names if they've made it well, if they've made it through the weekend and they're playing well. I don't hate that either. Like I'm not throwing
No, I
that
agree with
part
that.
out.
Yeah,
I'm not going to throw that part out. But yeah, I mean, there are some huge names. You're right.
I
Like
mean Scheffler.
Zalatoris,
Was it?
Morikawa, Bobby Mack, Scheffler, uh, Keegan. Yeah, I mean, all these JT, Cameron Young, all this guy's trunk slammed.
Yeah,
So I think that's a good point. Bringing up the Scottish is something I think we throw out. And for guys like JT and Scheffler and those dudes, like they've already been over here getting acclimated. They played the JP McManus thing. I mean, if they're out of it by a good ways on the back nine on Friday at the
there's no
Scottish.
reason they're trying. There's no reason for them to actually try. To be honest, to make the cut.
Right. It almost feels like you're right. Like they're probably trying something. Like anyway. I think that's a good thing. All right, for the comment tonight. Now we're going to do a giveaway here on the YouTube channel. We always ask for comments. It's important on a major championship week. It helps get our video in front of more people and more eyeballs. That's what we want. So we're going to give a free Tour Junkies Open Championship T-shirt, which we've got those made. Now you're not going to get it before the Open Championship, so whatever. We'll pick somebody in the comments. It's a free T-shirt, so whatever. Who cares? We'll give somebody in the comments a free T-shirt. We'll select you at random. Leave a good comment. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. By the way, like you've already heard, the giveaway that we're doing in the Caddie interview, you heard about the giveaway. So subscribing to the YouTube channel is a way that you can earn an entry. So subscribe to the channel, like, comment this, your favorite sports related podcast or YouTube channel. Drop that in the comments. We are interested to know that. And share the video as well. Pass it along to a friend, a buddy, family member that likes golf. Send it to them. All right. Let them Pat's speech. Like, how could you not pass that on to somebody? All right, Pat, let's talk about the top range. We're going to do this different. Let's talk about the 10K and 11K guys to start. So you've got Rory McIlroy at 11-1, Scotty Scheffler at 11, John Rahm at 10-8, Justin Thomas at 10-5, Colin Morikawa at 10-3, and Jordan Spieth at 10K. I'm thinking, I mean, obviously with these guys, with these players, there's plenty of reasons to pick any of these guys. I guess the first question is, who do we think, maybe the easiest question to answer is, who do you think is going to be the least popular play out of this range? And that again could depend on a lot of things. A lot of content's going to come out between here and now, or between now and then. A lot of the tee time weather advantage is going to come out. But do we have an early lean on who we think people might skip? I think it's probably Morikawa, which is crazy because he's your defending Open champion. But based on his recent play and his the Open Championship kind of felt a little fluky for him last year as he came off the Scottish, missing the cut and going. He had the quote about where he said, like, yeah, it was hard for me. I felt like I didn't understand how my irons were going to interact with the turf or whatever it was. That was interesting. So I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Is it going to be Morikawa, or do you think it's something else?
I mean, to me, it's going to be Morikawa. I think we just talked about the Scottish being something that I don't really want to look at too much, especially for some of these top guys that missed the cut. But I mean, if you're looking at Morikawa, he hasn't been playing great lately. He did have that top 10 at the U.S. Open, but he's a defending champ, which tends to sometimes, for some reason, which really shouldn't really mean all that much, tends to lower the ownership a little bit. So I think it is going to be Morikawa, because I don't see how JT. I don't think people. I think people are going to ignore Scottish Open for JT, but actually pay attention to it with Kawa. It may sound a little off, but I think they will. John Rahm, I don't think is going to lose any ownership. I think he's going to be about where whatever it is he's going to be. Scheffler, Rory, of course, are going to be pretty high owned. I mean, there's really not anybody other than Morikawa.
Well, and then you've got Jordan, who he's gained 54 strokes total at the Open Championship in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Second to him would be Rory in this range at 36, almost at 37 strokes gained. But when you're looking at JT, I guess you do have the fact that Morikawa is your defending champ. He did finish 5th at the U.S. Open, better than JT finished in the U.S. Open, coming off his third place at RBC Canadian and winning the PGA a couple weeks prior. But then you have JT's record in the last few years at the Open Championship has not been great. Only one top 15. He had a T11 in 2019. Honestly, in terms of last 5 years, JT's probably your worst history in the last 5 years here. So maybe that combined with the double digit plus 10 at the Scottish potentially throws people out of there.
Yeah, I think JT could be the one that you would look at just based off his Open, championship history and that kind of thing of a guy that you may avoid. But
you certainly know that
he's just been
JT's
playing so well.
game is way better than Colin Morikawa's.
Yeah,
over the long term, he's just a better short game guy in terms of around the greens, which you're going to need around here for sure.
I don't, we already mentioned being pretty creative on the greens and around the greens, and I just don't I don't really see that with Morikawa.
No.
At all. I don't think this is a good, last year is last year. And that's another thing with, is they obviously rotate these courses and it's just totally different. And I think Morikawa is a really good fade in here, in my opinion. I just don't see him really playing well on this course.
In terms of my favorite play, I just still love Jordan here. And I'd be willing to eat a little chalk on him, considering I get a price break on him, considering I think he's, I picked him for the Scottish Open. He's on the betting card. He doesn't look to be really in the conversation to win right now, but given the scores, it could change. But he's playing solid. I love him here. When we played the old course, I immediately brought up 2 names, and one was Jordan Spieth, and the next one we'll talk about in the next range. It just feels like one of those golf courses for him. So for me, Jordan and Rory may be my 2 favorites. And I don't love that Rory's last 2 Open championships haven't been that great. But other than that, he's played great in Open championships. He was T5 here in 2015. He was T3 here in 2010. And I believe he's played, he was 23rd in the 2019 Alfred Dunhill Links. So he's got plenty of loops around here, and he's playing so well right now. And I just feel like Rory, to me, it feels like Rory's a little hungrier in 2022 to close the door on a major than he's felt in a couple of years.
I agree. I agree, and it's obviously his last chance this year. But the way he's played, his form, everything else, I love Rory here. I think he's just got to, in between the ears, has got to be in a good spot. And I feel like this is a course though where he's not going to feel as much pressure as he normally does. And he did. We know. Obviously at the PGA Championship, he started off with a good round, which was, has been unusual for him in majors. So I'm a huge fan of Rory anyway. So Rory is probably definitely one of my favorite plays up here in the 10K. I would say that, I'm with you. Really, my 2 favorites are Jordan and Rory.
So there's early agreement here.
Yeah.
Early agreement. Well, that's the, 10K and 11K range. Those are the studs. A lot of people can figure that out. We're going to work down the board. Before we do, I'm excited to tell the people that the custom Tour Junkies coffee flavors by our friends at Front 9 Coffee have arrived, and you can order them right now if you go to front9coffee.com. Now we have 2 different promo codes for you tonight, because you can get a sample of my flavor and Pat's flavor, and we will reveal to you now on YouTube the labels for these and tell you a little bit about the coffees. But you can go to front9coffee.com. That's front, the number 9coffee.com. Promo code TJ10 gets you 10% off any order if you just want to buy 1 bag. Great local small business started here in Augusta that we're supporting, and they're supporting us for the long haul here, and we're proud of them. And they're freshly roasting the coffee after you order it, so it arrives to your door anywhere in the U.S. and Canada within just a few days, fresh and customized for you. It's coffee for golfers. These people love coffee and they love golf. What it couldn't get any better. But without further ado, let's do the big reveal here, Pat. Now, I don't have the greatest images of these, but you can see these on the front9coffee.com website. And the first one is, I'll save the best for last. The first one is Pat's. Okay. This is Pat Perry's Bump and Run, baby. Look at that label. It is a dark roast espresso. And I'm sure it is delicious.
God, it looks so good.
It doesn't it? So really proud of that one. And then this is the best one that you're going to get. This is
Nope, that's not the best one. Nope.
Large bucket of nuts, hazelnut blend. It is a lovely morning coffee. I think you'll really enjoy it. And it's bold, just like DB's Big Balls betting card. So here's the deal. Right now, you can go to front9coffee.com, and with promo code TJ2, that's TJ and the number 2, you will get a 2.5 ounce sample bag of each, so you can try them both, and that's with any order that you buy 2 bags or more. And so if you bought 2 bags and you use the promo code TJ2, you'll get the 2 bags you bought, the sample of each flavor, and shipping for a total of $36. Pretty good deal for some fresh artisan, dry, fresh roasted, helping out a local business coffee company. So check that out at front9coffee.com and tell us which flavor you like the most. I'm sure it's the large bucket of nuts, hazelnut blend. All right, Pat, the 9K range. The 9K range where some decisions will be made. Tons of studs here between Xander's playing so good right now, Fitzpatrick. Then you got names like Zalatoris, who just missed the cut. DJ, you got Liv DJ, you got Hovland, who missed the cut. At the Scottish, but apparently didn't have his golf clubs. Hideki, who trunk slammed at the Scottish. Shane Lowry, Open champion in 2019, I believe. Patrick Cantlay, Cam Smith, those guys. So first of all, let me ask you this: what do you think about Liv DJ at this point? Is DJ? I mean, because I think the fact is, I predict that the 2 lowest owned players here, just without knowing anything about a weather wave, will be Victor Hovland and will be Dustin Johnson. So to either entice you, and what do you think about all Liv DJ?
I agree. I think that you're right on those 2. Liv DJ actually interests me a little bit.
Really? I did not see that coming.
Yeah, it does. I will say this without getting into a Liv argument. I have not really watched much of it, so I don't even know how he's finished, to be honest.
He played all right in Portland. He had a shot in Portland, and then but he did not play well in the first event, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, he is a guy that's tended to play fairly well in Open Championships. Top 10 last year, top 10 in 2016. Kind of bad between then and those 2, I guess. Yeah, between those 2. But I mean, I don't know. He does interest me a little bit, especially if he's going to get some lower ownership just because of Liv. Like, I almost want to take advantage of that. I do not see him winning, though. I just don't see him winning at all. So you're going to have to get some, but at this price level, you got to have some upside. I could see maybe though a top 5 or something like that, him in contention on Sunday, but I just don't see him winning. But still, I'm interested a little bit in DJ. I'm not at all in Victor Hovland. I just haven't seen anything from Victor Hovland that's maybe. And I know I talked about him earlier this year in majors, and but I'm kind of. Well, obviously, I've been proven wrong a little bit, and I don't really like what I'm seeing out of Victor. It just has not really been a very good year for him for the most part. There's just nothing about Victor that gives you any confidence to want to play him in here. And I think he'll definitely be the lowest owned guy over 9K. I don't see any way around. There's no way around.
I mean, I think it could be DJ. I think it could be DJ or Victor, just for the Liv stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess DJ is still more enticing to me than Victor, actually. I mean, for Victor, I talked about him on the fades video. I did a fade video for the Scottish, and he was in there. And for all the talk about Victor working on his chipping and short game, when you look at the data, his long-term data around the short game is better than his last 50, 36, 24, even 75 rounds. He's not gotten better. And I don't care if the wind blows or not. You're still going to have some short game at the old course. You just are. I mean, we played it on a mild day, and we're not pros, but you're still going to have some tough rolls, and you're still going to get in these pot bunkers, and you're still going to have these long putts that require touch, or you're still going to have to chip off these tight lies around the greens and carry a massive slope. Like, it just doesn't play for me. So to me, Hovland, I will not be tempted, even if the ownership is single digits. It's not promising enough to me just yet either with Victor
Yeah,
Hovland.
absolutely. I
So
agree.
a question I was going to ask you, and I'll answer it first. Can you start a GPP lineup in the 9K range? I think you can. I think we've seen it in open championships before. We've seen it in majors before, where the 10K range, the 10K and above range, the winner doesn't come out of that range. And yeah, you probably are going to get some decent, some guys who score in the top 10 or whatever in DraftKings points that end up there. But a lot of times you've been able to fade that range in a major when the field is deep and it doesn't kill you. And especially at the Open, where there's a lot of variance, I think you can 100% differentiate yourself a little bit and fade the players above 9K. I do think that a balanced build will be something that people do, but I don't think too many people are going to leave guys from Jordan up to Rory out of their lineups. But I think it's possible, considering how well Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick is playing right now. People can definitely stack those two guys and run. Now, I think Will Zalatoris is interesting because when I get from Frazier the winning score predictions, I talked about this on the Scottish show. I think it was with you, or I don't remember if it was the one I did by myself, but like the birdie fest scare me a little bit with Willie Z, just because
Mm-hmm.
you're required to make more putts. And in major championships that he's played well in, where the winning score has been, single digits for sure, it just hasn't been an issue for him. And he's putted well. Like, he definitely, he's flashed the putter at times. But I don't know if if the wind looks mild and it doesn't look like it's going to play that tough, and Willie Z's chalky, I'm fine fading him, honestly, at that point. What do
Yeah.
you think?
No, I don't disagree. One thing, this paint on my face is itchy. It really is.
Scratch it, buddy. Just get it.
It's
Just
kind of
scratch it.
like I feel like it's just like,
You have the one braid like pointing just directly to the east there. I don't know.
yeah.
It's lovely.
Well, there's another braid over here. You just can't really see
Oh,
it.
okay. There it is.
Anyway, yeah, I agree. I think you can start a GPP lineup in this 9K range. There's obviously a lot of good guys here. The thing about it for me, though, is, I think you can do it. I mean, it's not going to maybe kill your lineups, but the problem I'm going to have is that, like, I'm going to have a hard time leaving out a Jordan or a Rory and going from there, because I still think there's a lot of guys here when we get into the 7 and the 6K range that we can work with here, going with some of these guys in the 10K range. But I do think, if you want to be a little bit different, this is where you start, is in the 9K range, and there's guys here that I love, like a Hideki I actually like.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Hideki because his open record the last few attempts is not great.
It's not good, but it's actually not bad at the old course, because he finished in the top 20 there. It's actually his best finish in the Open Championship over the last 6 years or whatever it is. So that's one thing I like about Hideki. I mean, he had, well, I say that he did have a top 15 in 2017, but missed cuts across the board after that. But in 2015, T18 here.
It feels like, too, and the other thing with Hideki is, like, everybody talks about his ball striking. Oh my God, he's just such a great ball striker, which he is. But because his ball striking is so good, his short game oftentimes doesn't get talked about enough. because he's one of the best. He's so consistent. Around the green, long term, short term, he's just very, very solid around the green. So I think if Hideki I think if he's a potential pivot in this range, I'm definitely down for that.
I love it, and he's also a couple other things. I always look at bogey avoidance in majors. He's 12th in the field there.
Yeah.
He's 12th in the field in 3-putt avoidance, which, Caddie,
Love that.
Mr.
Yeah.
Frazier mentioned. So he's
Yeah.
12th there. And he's top 10 in approach, which is another stat that, we always look at. So Hideki has a lot of things that really, look good for him to finish well in this tournament. And so I think Hideki is, and I would love to get a low owned Hideki here.
Yeah, I would take now. That's a low owned pivot I can get down with. Another one for me, and I'm wondering if he'll be low owned. Maybe he won't be, but I mean, you can't. I mean, you can play a lot of these guys if you start in this range. You can get 3 of them in there for sure. But I'm wondering what people are going to do with Shane Lowry. With
Yeah, I
Shane
like him.
Lowry coming off, a miscut at the U.S. Open, he seems like the heater he was on has kind of been forgotten, or like other guys have kind of lapped him or whatever. But your 2019 Open champion, T12 here last year, and then kind of a poor run in the middle of his Open record, and then a T10 or T9 in 2014. But his Alfred Dunhill Links form last year finished 4th at this event, or playing the old course twice. In 2019, finished 15th. And he's another guy who just good ball striker, good short game, and I'm wondering if Lowry gets a little forgotten, maybe.
I
I'm
think if he
interested
gets
there.
forgotten, it's a mistake a little bit here because
I agree.
I mean, we've been on him all year, both of us, and he's come so close to winning for us. Especially when you talk about some of the bets that we've made, and we
Yeah.
just haven't come through. Luckily, actually, when he lost the Honda, we had Sepp Straka,
Yeah.
so it didn't really matter. But still, I think you would be mistaken to go off of Lowry, especially just thinking about his most recent couple tournaments. He's still in good form. This is a great fit for him. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Lowry and Hideki right there at the bottom.
I guess the only other question is honestly, like, is there anyone else in here? Like, for me, Hovland is the only one that if I see him at super low ownership, I'm still not jumping on. Anybody else, including maybe DJ, anybody else at low ownership and as a possible pivot, I could definitely get down with. If none of that matters, I think Xander and Matthew Fitzpatrick, there's no reason to fade either one of those guys other than ownership. It just really isn't. Both of them are playing tremendous. Fitzpatrick, I think, said it today after his round. He feels like he's in the best form of his life. Xander's playing hot. Like, I couldn't give you a reason to not play those guys unless it was chalk that you just didn't want to eat or didn't need to eat. But I think those guys are for sure chalk you could eat. I'm interested in Cam Smith a good bit. So he was the other name when I talked about Jordan Spieth. When we got to the old course and I saw it and I saw Scotland golf and my eyes were opened, I said Jordan Spieth and Cam Smith. Like, those are the guys. If stuff gets gnarly, if the weather gets gnarly, I will pound, Fitzpatrick, Cam Smith, Shane Lowry in this range.
There's a
Cam
part
Smith,
of me that for some reason worries about Cam Smith.
why is
I
that?
worry about his off the tee play a
He
little
doesn't
bit.
have to hit driver out here very much, though. Like, that's
I
the
know, but I just worry that he's going to get himself into some terrible spots. He's going to be like me on the
Jordan Spieth.
what if he's like me? What if he's like me on the front nine at the old course and he hits every
Well,
effing bunker?
he's got incredible short game. He'll be fine. I mean,
It doesn't matter. It's still a penalty when you go in the bunkers. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
I know what you mean about his off the tee game is scary at times, but I do think that's mainly with the driver. But I think I could look past it. He just really entices me, especially if it gets tough.
I tell you,
Um,
you got me kind of. I was sort of high on Cantlay this past week for the Scottish, and now I'm down on him again for this tournament.
I mean, I could get on Cantlay at 9,400. Like,
Oh, you could get on him.
I could, and I'm not like super excited about it. Like, I would rather play again, like in a ownership thrown out the window. I'd rather have Schauffele, Fitzpatrick, and Smith and Lowry. But I could if Cantlay's sitting there at like 9%, 10%, I'm in. But I don't think he will be. I mean, he's 9,400 Cantlay's enticing, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Let's get to the 8K range. All right. 8K range, you got Sam Burns, Louis Oosthuizen, Tyrrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau, Sungjae M, Corey Connors, Bryson, and Joaquin Niemann. Obviously, I think let's start with the Live 3 boys. And let's start with Louis because, winner here in 2010, lost in a playoff in 2015, tremendous record at the old course. And while he's not really, we haven't really seen like highly competitive Louis, and I'm not including a live golf event to this point, not yet. If they add more talent, then we'll see. But we haven't really seen a highly competitive Louis Oosthuizen since maybe last year and this time last year. So, any interest in Louis, or what do you think people are going to do with Louis?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a low-owned Louis again. Because he also withdrew, didn't he, from one of his what tournament was that?
Or was that leading up to the live stuff? I mean, I don't know.
I thought he withdrew from a tournament. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I am very interested in Louis. I'm always interested in Louis in majors. I mean, he always plays well in them. He just does, and he's comfortable here. I mean, we've seen it. Yeah. I mean, he's almost won it twice in a row on this course. So I think you've got to look at Louis on a course that he's very comfortable on, that he's won on, that he's almost won twice on. So I do like Louis. I'm not really paying attention to much with the live thing for him. Now, Brooks and Bryson, a little bit different. I don't think either of those two are in play for me at all this week. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think Bryson can, he can overpower courses and do his thing. This is not a course, even though you have length, that you can overpower, because you can get yourself in a ton of different trouble just all over the damn course if you're not even at least giving yourself, a decent shot from a fairway or whatever else. Believe me.
By the way, I think if you look on the website or something official, you'll see the rough as like this like short rough. Well, let me just tell you, that's the rough immediately off the fairway. And yeah, it's not that bad. If you blow one, if you really miss on one, or the wind picks it up or something happens and you're in this tall stuff, it is no fun. Like, you can lose your ball. You cannot find your ball. You can know exactly where it went in and not see your golf ball. We were there 3 weeks ago. I had mucho experience with this. Okay.
I've never lost so many balls in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't lose a lot of balls. DB will you will actually admit I do not lose a lot of balls.
I was going to say, you're a fairway finder. Like, you don't lose balls, but I do. And I did. And you will, if you miss it by too much. Like, yeah, the rough right off the fairway, not that bad. But you get in that fescue stuff, it's thick and it's spotty. It's real thick in some places. It's not in others. So just Bryson, I'm totally out on. Brooks, I think I'm out on too. And it may be like, it's enticing a little bit just with his Open Championship record. And I do see Brooks as a guy who obviously has always said he soaks up majors. And even though he's gotten paid, I feel like he would want nothing more than to just stick it to everybody who's on his jock right now about the whole live stuff and just win a major. But I don't know that he's capable of it right now. Like, he's shown no recent indicator in his play in majors or on live or at all that he's really even capable if he wanted to. So I'm out on Brooks for that reason. Louis, I'm probably also out on just because I like too many other names in this range. So for me and the live boys, I'm out. I do want to talk about a couple things. Tyrrell Hatton, who is normally a player I do not tend to roster, is one that I am I'm smitten right now, potentially.
Oh, you got some love in your heart?
Yeah, Cupid's little arrow, little fat pudgy guy just shot me right there with a little Tyrrell Hatton arrow.
I don't mind it. I got a couple other guys where I'm really smitten with in this.
Okay, now I mean, Hatton is a 2-time winner of the Dunhill Links. 2016, and 2017. Finished runner-up in 2018. Finished 10th in 2019. Finished second in 2021. His Alfred Dunhill links record is ridiculous involving this golf course. He's got a T6 and a top 5 in his last 5 attempts at the Open. He's playing well right now in the Scottish Open. Obviously, I don't know how he's finished up here at the Scottish. He missed the cut here in 2015, but whatever. I don't mind that at all. And he's not played great in his opportunities on the PGA Tour this year, other than a runner-up at the Arnold Palmer. But this is a different style of golf, and the way he's playing right now, I am very interested in Tyrrell Hatton. I'm guessing he might come in like kind of sneaky. Like, I think a lot of people are gonna love Sam Burns, and I love Sam Burns. I'm always about Sam Burns. Yes, if I am in on Sam Burns, I think Finau may draw a little bit of attention. Joaquin Niemann being down there at 8,000. Like, when I think about who could be chalky, I think Niemann and Hatton and Finau and Burns are up there. But if Hatton's kind of like middling in there, I will be all over that. But he also may be chalk I'm willing to eat. Finau's Open Championship record is going to attract a lot of people. Joaquin Niemann's upside and price tag at $8K and the savings you get there is going to attract a lot of people. So all of that being said, like, I think it leaves. I think what we've deduced here is that your lowest owned players in here are going to be Bryson. They're probably going to be Brooks up there, and then possibly like Sung Jae, Connors maybe. Which Connors is enticing to me too. Didn't he made the cut at the Scottish? I think he's playing the Scottish right now.
Yeah.
Connors is interesting. Like, what do you think about like where the chalk's going to land, or any of those other guys I've named?
Well, so let's talk about Hatton first. He interests me a little bit. It's funny to me, like, I'm surprised at how well his history is at like the Dunhill and whatever else, because like Hatton seems like the one player in this field that would totally not be able to accept the fact that his ball could be perfectly struck and end up in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make this course a lot harder than they probably do for the Dunhill. There's only so much you can do anyway to St. Andrews, because there's not a whole lot of room, so they can't really change it a whole lot. But it is probably, I'm sure this is a little bit different time than a Dunhill.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a little tougher test, but not by much.
Yeah,
I mean,
but still, it's just crazy to me that, like, I think he would get so frustrated by like hitting a perfect shot.
Remember too, when he's playing the Dunhill, he's also playing Carnoustie and Kingsbarns, which are
both
are
F Carnoustie. I never want to see that damn course again in my life.
If you're watching Carnoustie, fuck you, okay?
Yes.
And you know what?
I'm glad for the experience, Carnoustie, but I never want to see your ass again.
Cool. I got to play Carnoustie. The end. I don't ever want to play it again. Now Kingsbarns, I actually really enjoyed Kingsbarns. I love Kingsbarns,
I did too.
But that course is a lot harder than the old course too. So like, he's not just. I mean, the old course is the easier course out of that rotation.
It is. I still just think that, but I don't mind. I don't mind.
You can't deny the record. The man has won it twice. Yeah. He's got 2 runner-ups and a T10 in the last 5 years.
Maybe he's just really comfortable on the old course, and he knows like
That's
that he doesn't have that left to right shot that's gonna like go in every single bunker. And by the way, that's it. That's the shot. If you want to know the shot that's gonna put you in every single bunker on the damn course, if somebody hits it left or right, and that's their their favorite shot, that's what's going to happen. It's going to go. But I do think 2 guys here that really stood out in the 8K range for me. One was Fleetwood. I'm a big fan of Fleetwood in here, and the other one was Tony Finau. I mean, I like how Finau's played recently. I like his Open history. If you look at Finau, let's just look at the stats for him too. I mean, across the board, he is number 1 in the model that I came up with. And I hate talking about models, but he is number 1. Number 1 in bogey avoidance. He's number 1 in the field in 3-putt avoidance. He's top 10 in ball striking.
He's number 1 in the field in 3-putt avoidance over what time frame?
24 rounds.
I don't know. Okay. I
top
would go
10.
longer on 3-putt avoidance, but I mean, that's
Okay.
interesting.
I'm
That's
just going on 24 rounds, 1 in 3-putt avoidance, 1 in bogey avoidance, 6 in ball striking, 4th off the tee, 6 in strokes gained around the green, 20th in strokes gained approach. Tony Finau has I think this is a really good chance for him to finally break through, not only win an actual real golf tournament, but then also a major. So I love Finau in here. And I'm gonna have a lot of them. And then I like Fleetwood too. I like
Yeah,
Fleetwood a lot.
Fleetwood, talk about the Dunhill Links record. Last year finished 7th. The year before that finished 5th. The year before that finished runner-up. Like, Fleetwood loves the Dunhill Links, also playing well. I think he made the cut at the Scottish. I think he's rolling in the Scottish right now. By the way, Corey Connors did make the cut. He finished right on the cut line at 3 over. Fleetwood finished 2 over, shot 1 under today on Friday. That's pretty stout. I'm looking at Tony Finau. So while you were doing that, I pulled up Fantasy National's rolling report, which I love to look at the rolling report for a stat like this. 3-putt avoidance rolling report. Tony Finau, certified stud, dark green all across the board. Which means like last 100 rounds, 50 rounds, 24, 12, 8 and 4. Like, he's been good long term and short term, which is good. And that's probably why that's part of the reason why he's been good in Open Championships, is that 3-putt avoidance, that touch around the greens. And like Xander, is a guy who's known for the ball striking and like hitting the big ball, but underrated short game. So I think Finau's for sure in play. I love the 8K range. I really do. There's the only guys in here who I'm just staying away from completely are Bryson and Brooks, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to do. Well, for me and Louis, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to do. So, between Burns and Fleetwood and Hatton and Finau and Neiman, those are probably my favorite 4 here. But I mean, I'm not mad at a 5% projected own Corey Connors. Like, it's interesting. I don't know that I trust his short game as much, but the ball striking certainly there. I think a lot of this is going to depend on who's in what weather draw, if there is a draw, if there is an advantage. And then just kind of how we're thinking the golf course is going to play. Is it going to favor, more of a birdie fest player or a somebody who's going to contend in a lower scoring event? So that's the 8K range, the conundrum that is the 8K range. Now, some of you guys got conundrums in a lot of places that impact your body.
Oh,
And we talk a
yeah.
lot about bodies on the show because we got a lot of men that listen to this show and they don't take care of their bodies, and y'all got busted up bodies. And our friends at Athletic Greens and the AG1 product have really started to do what they can to try to help out your body. So, you don't have time. You want better health, gut health. You want more energy, a better immune system. You don't like taking pills and vitamins and all the crap you got to take. You're like, man, I wish it was all chopped up into one and I could mix it with some water and it take 4 seconds and then it tastes delicious and I'd be done. Boom. Here comes AG1. It doesn't even, it's super healthy, but it doesn't taste like it because it actually tastes good. It's got like this tropical flavor to it. We do it every morning. A little bit of water. I do about 10 ounces of water with it, powder it up, knock it back before I eat anything. It's delicious. You're getting 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and our favorite, adaptogens, and it costs you less than $3 a day. Cheaper than that.
Adaptogens.
Yeah, cheaper than that cold brew habit. And it contains less than a gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals and stuff. It'll help you sleep better, recover faster. It's a great habit to help take care of yourself. And in 2020, Athletic Greens also donated over 1.2 million meals to kids in 2020 to help out with the pandemic stuff. They have over 7,000 5-star reviews, and they're trusted by leading health experts like Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. Right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/tourjunkies. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/tourjunkies to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we're going to move quickly here, Pat. We got to move quickly to the 7K range because then we get to the 6K range. We're going to do a draft.
Oh,
I do want to
yes.
remind everybody of the contest. If you didn't hear it in the Caddie interview in the beginning, you need to hit up the contest. You can get 3 entries Got to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get one. Subscribe to the email to get one. If you've already done that, great. You're already entered. And you can leave a 5-star Apple or Spotify review, written and 5-star, to get another entry. We're going to pick 3 winners, announce them in the Chalk Bomb email next week for the 3M Open. First place is going to win a brand new tailor-made driver. Second and third place are each going to get $250 in prize picks dollars to play with. So check that out. Don't forget, the Wednesday night live Nut Hut chat will be popping on Wednesday night. I'll be in there. Pat will be in there. AC will be in there. Probably Ben will be in there. We got Caddie House. We got a lot of Caddie friends on the grounds. We got our Caddie Master friend now. We'll be getting a lot of intel from on site at the old course. $10 a month, $90 a year is all you need. It's the place to be. It's our private Discord server. All the links to all of these things are in the description in the podcast or video. And look out for a bunch of other content coming out on the YouTube channel, especially this week. By the way, I have to say this before we move on. The Rufus Peabody interview. We interviewed a professional golf bettor, Rufus Peabody. This guy was brilliant. He was very generous with his time, and he poked a lot of holes in a lot of people's processes when it comes to playing DFS or betting on golf. Yeah, I mean, like, it's going to rock your world. It's already out on podcast and YouTube. Check that out. It was amazing. This dude wagers like 1.5 million per major and like 500 to 750,000 per PGA Tour event, like just like the John Deere. It's incredible. He was great. You need to listen to that. All right. 7K range, Pat. Tons of people in here. We can't talk about them all. But I do want to ask you this. I got 4 names in here that I think are interesting. I'm calling them the Open Champion Cherry Poppin' Stud Muffins. Okay?
Ooh, yes.
These are first timers. Okay. This is their first time. Be gentle, be gentle. But
Be
they're
gentle with them. I think this is a good course to be a first timer, to be honest.
but they're dime pieces. They really are. They are dime pieces because these guys are stud muffins. They're ball strikers. I'm talking about Cameron Young. I'm talking about Seamus Power. I'm talking about Guillermo Mito Pereira. Ever heard of him? I'm talking about Tom Hollywood Hoagie. These 4 guys in this range, these first timers. Now, Cam Young, we just saw Trunk Slam. Mito, we just saw Trunk Slam at the Scottish Open. Seamus and Hoagie did not play, as far as I remember. I don't think. So talk to me about these guys because, we just talked about experience, Pat. We did just talk about experience at the Open Championship.
Yes.
So you can't tell me you don't. You think, I mean, come on. You can't tell me you think a first timer can win. I'm just asking. By the way, Tom,
I don't know.
At the Scottish.
Let's not get carried away with ourselves here. I do not think these guys are going to win, but a guy like Seamus Power playing well the last couple of years. I love him.
Irishman too, by the way.
I think this is a great spot for Seamus Power. I mean, Mito Pereira, he's been playing really good in majors. I actually not a huge fan of him. Hoagie, I like Hoagie a lot just because I think his style of play, very consistent off the tee, into the greens, all those kind of things. He's very level-headed. I think Hoagie could do something here. Cameron Young, I'm a little worried about. Like, I think Cameron Young, this might not be really the course fit for him. But the 2 guys here that do, like, that you mentioned, some of these new stud, cherry popping stud muffins.
Yeah.
Seamus Power and Tom Hoagie are the 2 that I like. Here. I could see it. I mean, would you be that? Tom Watson almost won this damn golf tournament a few years ago.
That's
true. Would you be? And I'm not comparing.
He was very experienced.
But I know. But I'm not saying that Tom Hoagie is an old guy. But he kind of has a Tom Watson feel to him, like he's got
an old face
off the tee, old face. Like, would you be surprised if you saw Tom Hoagie in the hunt on Sunday?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, Ben Curtis won this damn tournament, DB. Curtis.
Who was the guy that the amateur that had the lead after 3 rounds or something? Remember that a while back?
Yeah. And what's the dude that got in the Masters for 5 years because he won? Not Ben Curtis, but the other one, like right after him.
Ben Curtis is pretty remarkable, honestly. That is one of the most remarkable names.
No, but this other guy, I got it now. I gotta come up.
For me, I do think Power is interesting there. I kind of agree with you on Young. I think Power and Mito are potentially in play here. There's a bunch of names in here. I mean, that are very interesting. So you can definitely. I think this is a range where I would for sure not be afraid to pivot. But again, I also think this is a range where you're not going to have guys like super high owned because there's just so many names in here. You're just not. Now, a couple names
wait. 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Ben Curtis won in 2003. Todd Hamilton. That's who I was. 2004, right before Tiger Woods won it in 2005 at the old course. Todd freaking Hamilton.
Gross. Golf's a lot deeper now than it was when Tom Hamilton was competing.
But that's pretty incredible.
A couple names up here at the top that I think are some of those Scottish Open names we were talking about that just trunk slam that we would kind of ignore. For me, Robert McIntyre is in that conversation. Bobby Mack, who is sitting there at 7,800 with a T8 and a T6 at the Open Championship, and a pretty decent. He's the Scotsman, right? Pretty decent links record, T26 at the Alfred Dunhill in 2019. I think Bobby Mack is in play for sure. Maybe some people will jump off of him. Max Homa is another one that missed did Max make the cut? What did Max do? I can't remember what Max did. I think Homa missed. Did he miss the cut of the Scottish? Yes. No, he made the cut. +2. So I think, Homa's another one. Our boy, our caddy friend told us that Adam Scott has been up there early, getting it in a little bit. He played well here in 2015, finished 10th in 2015. I mean, that could be interesting.
Can I ever get you involved in Justin Rose?
I think so. I think here, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'll let you know Thursday or Wednesday night. I'll let you know. But yeah, I mean, Rosie's been doing all right, huh? And I mean, a little bit of course history and gray hair doesn't hurt. I don't think I'm going to play Daniel Berger at all as the highest price player here. Like I would certainly have put. I think I would have put a couple names maybe above Daniel Berger, just with miscut at the U.S. Open. We haven't really seen a lot of Berger lately. I don't feel like. Not a bad Open Championship record. I just don't know that the value is really great for him.
Well, it's the summertime. He likes to be on his boats.
He does like to be on the boat. What do you do? What do you think about Tiger? 7,500. You think he's fooling everybody again with because I mean I didn't think he was going to play the Masters.
I think this course is of all of them. I actually thought this was the first course that he was going to actually play again.
But you can't play him, right? Like
I don't think you can
risk
no. I think there's too many things. It's just that he's just still not ready for 4 rounds. I mean, he's made the cut in the 2 majors he's played this year. But then after that,
he played 1 major.
No, he's played 2 majors.
What?
He played the PGA Championship. DB.
No, he didn't. He played the Masters. He didn't.
No, he played the PGA at Southern Hills and he made the cut.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. And then he withdrew from it on Saturday. God, I've drank way more than you tonight, and I still know at least that.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, he withdrew on Saturday after
terrible memory. I have an awful memory.
After Saturday's round, he has played.
Now
he did not play in the U.S. Open, but he did play in the PGA Championship at Southern Hills.
You're right, he did.
Anyway,
memory.
I'm not playing Tiger. I tell you who I like. Danny Willett. Danny Willett finished T6 here in 2015.
What's his price here?
7,100.
7,100.
No, sorry, 7,000.
He also won the Alfred Dunhill Links here in 2021, year of our Lord.
Yes.
Danny Willett is a decent value for sure, isn't he? Now, I think did he play the Scottish? I think he missed the cut. Did he play? Yeah, he missed the cut. He shot 10 over, which I don't love that because, I mean, we haven't
JT just shot 10 over.
Yeah, I know, but we haven't seen a lot of good come out of Danny Willett, period, though, right? Like, what's
but I just could see him. I mean, he finished T6 here the last time they played this course in 2015. He's one that I really think was like when I was looking at like really cheap guys that I think are going to be low owned, and he's at 7,000. he was one of the first ones that popped out to me because I had it in the back of my mind. I think I knew he played well here the last time they had the Open Championship. I had a feeling he played well here at the Alfred Dunhill, which obviously you just mentioned he won. So he's interesting to me in here. There's so many guys though in this 7K range though that we can really look at.
Can I tell you who? I mean, I kind of like some P Reed. I kind of like P Reed, dude. That might be the live guy that I end up rolling with because to me, it's also kind of a P Reed, especially if we get wind and we get conditions and we get Scotland and like I just see this dude and his creativity around the greens and all that stuff. Like I just see it for him. 7,300 is just enticing for me for P Reed, but I am kind of a sucker for him. I will put that disclaimer on it. I also like Seabez a little bit here. And I don't, Seabez played well today on Friday to stay in the cut line and do his thing. He had a bad end of the wave and played okay. Not much of an Open Championship record at all, but I think Seabez is interesting. I'm a huge fan of Jordan Smith. I've played a lot of him this week in the Scottish. I put him on the betting card. To this point, I don't know how it's going to work out. He's in the top 10 right now, but I like Jordan Smith. He's had a really good year on the DP World Tour. 7,200. I think here's what I'll say. If the conditions look easier, Jordan Smith is one that I'm going to have my eyeballs on.
Yeah.
He's number one on the DP World Tour in strokes gained off the tee. He scores a lot. He hits it a mile. I like that for him. If it's a little tougher, a little grind fest, I may pivot off of him, but I am interested in Jordan Smith. HV3 is interesting to me. He withdrew from the Scottish Open, but he's playing. I just saw something on his Instagram. He played a course with a buddy or somebody just today on Friday. Like, I think he's fine. HV3 is a little interesting to me. I'm still very in on Keegan Bradley. I don't care that he missed the cut at the Scottish. I think Keegan's ball striking, if I get a low on Keegan, I'm interested. It'll be interesting to see what people do with Ryan Fox. He was very, very talked up this week at the Scottish. He did make the cut. Don't know how he finished. Who else
He's
like
near
in the slow range?
He's near the bottom, I think, on the
He's
cut.
at +2 right now on the cut. I mean, he's
Yeah.
in, but he's +2.
Well, I mentioned Danny Willett. I like in the bottom. I still like Victor Perez. I know he's not going to really, like, if you're looking at some stats on him, he's not going to check a lot of boxes, but he's played well this year. I do know he played terrible at the Scottish, but I'm going to kind of throw that out the window for him there. A guy like Mito Pereira, I think is really good here at 7,300. I'm a big fan of that. I like Justin Rose. I think that. Yeah, I think JT Poston. I mean, he's coming in playing so well right now. He rested and didn't play this week. I think he could be interesting. Who else down here?
I'm looking at these names. I was about to ask, like, where do we think the chalk is going to be? But I'm looking at these names. I don't know that there's going to be any chalk. Like,
I don't think there's going to be any chalk here.
There's going to be more popular players that are like, 12, 13%. But I don't know that unless one of these guys in here comes out and like wins the Scottish, maybe I could see it. But other than that, like, I just think there's enough spread here and there's value to go around. I mean, Cameron Tringali at 7,000, who came out and shot, he shoot like 9 under on day one at the Scottish, and he's currently leading now at 7 under.
Yeah.
Maybe if he holds on and like boat races the field like he did the first 2 days at 7K, will Cameron Tringali be chalky at 7K? Who knows?
I do not think he will, but I tell you this. I think the live golf thing has thrown a whole nother element into the ownership. Like we could always talk about like guys that whatever narrative we had for people in tournaments. Now we've added a whole nother narrative with the live golf thing. So now we've got to talk about that. Will people avoid some of the live golf players because, for whatever reason? I don't know. And I think that's going to throw off some of the ownership in these majors that they're playing in.
That could be true. I agree. All right, I think that wraps up the 7K range. Let's get on to the 6K range. We're going to do a 6K draft like we did the other week. This will be fun. Before we do, I want to remind everybody, you can head over to Prize Picks, legal in like 30 states now. It is the best way to play player props. If you're in California, Florida, Texas, like I said, like 30 other states, it's daily fantasy made easy. All you do is pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections. And sometimes you can win up to 11 or even 12x your entry. It's super easy. It's just you versus the projected numbers. You're not having to play against other people and all that stuff. You can do mixed sports. You can do baseball and golf or whatever you want to do. You can do all kinds of stuff. They have every sport imaginable. They have a great app. It's a great props game, and they're safe and offer fast withdrawals. You can use promo code TJ and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And listen, Prize Picks and the tips in Prize Picks in our Discord in the Nut Hut are single-handedly paying people's annual subscriptions to the Nut Hut because we have some sharp Prize Picks players in there. AC's sharp. I put my Thursday round one card of the round one in the Tuesday heavy petting email that's been paying off. Your fantasy golf sommelier videos, which have been hysterical lately. That is all Thursday round one Prize Picks plays. We've been making money on those. You just need to get involved, okay? You just need to get involved. So check out Prize Picks and also check out the Fantasy Golf Sommelier people on YouTube. It drops every Wednesday morning. It's hilarious. You got to watch it. It's like 6 or 7 minutes. It's funny and educational.
The actual picks this week were pretty good. We ended up being 2-0-2. So we had 2 that were winners, and then we had 2 pushes, which
push. So you probably still made money.
Can actually help you make money, but I wish those would have been winners. So
all right, for the 6K range, rather than breaking it down like we do, we're gonna do a draft. Okay, we're gonna do a self-imposed DraftKings head-to-head match, me versus Pat, but we're gonna draft the player, so we cannot roster the same player. And we've put a limitation on ourselves this week. You can only spend 39,000. So you're gonna have to go down low, all the way to the flow. How low can you go? You're gonna have to go down low, Pat. And
all the way to the float.
yes, and only spend 39,000. You can leave 11. That's leaving 11K on the board on DraftKings. All right, you good?
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
So I think you got first pick last time. I think I'm gonna get first pick this time. I'm gonna do that, and I am going to go with Chris Kirk at 6,800. I like Chris Kirk,
Whew.
Scottish.
Okay.
He made the cut in the Scottish Open. I like the. I just feel like Kirk's consistent, hitting it well all year. He's been consistent. Not much of an Open Championship record, as you would imagine. He's played in one in the last 5 years. He's missed the cut, but had a great year. So Chris Kirk for me at 6,800. I will take it.
Okay, I am going to start with Alexander Bjork.
Okay, that's an interesting strategy. Isn't he like super cheap?
He's 6,400.
Okay.
He's actually played, pretty well on the European Tour this year. He's made 8 of 12 cuts.
Yep.
He just made the cut at the Scottish Open. He was actually, I think he's top 30 right now in the Scottish Open, and he was top 20 last week at the Irish Open. Does not have a very good course history at the Open Championship. I'm going to not really care about that since they don't play the same course every year. So I want to start cheap a little bit, kind of give me some room here to think. So I'm going to start with Alexander Bjork.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it is a draft, so I mean, I would still have thought, maybe you would try to get your best players first. So
No, because I have others that I'm going to be able to take from you anyway.
Okay. Okay. I am going to go with a stud up top, I think, and he did miss the cut no, actually he didn't. He battled on Friday, made the cut at the Scottish Open, and it's Keith Mitchell at 6,900. What a lot of people may not know about Keith is Keith's sister went to college at St. Andrews University. His dad is a member of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, and he's quite familiar with the old course. Been very fortunate to play over here since he was a young lad. So despite being a Southern boy, Sea Island Mafia member, very familiar with playing in the wind, had a great season so far. I think this is the anchor of my team. And I think Keith Mitchell is definitely in play down here at 6,900.
Okay, so who was your first pick?
Chris Kirk.
Chris Kirk and Keith Mitchell. Wow.
Yep.
Both Bulldogs. Wow.
2
Interesting.
Bulldogs. Yeah, you like that?
All right. Well, I'm going to bump up here and go with Justin Harding at 6,800.
Ooh, he's been playing well. Live Tour guy.
And going with the Live Tour guy, playing well. He's also currently in, I believe, the top 10 for the Scottish Open. So
yeah.
he's 13th, in the Scottish Open after a tough round today, but in tough conditions. So Justin Harding at 6,800 will be my second pick.
Where to go now? Okay, this is interesting. Do I go studs and duds in the 6K range? You know what I mean? I mean, that's really the challenge.
Well, you gotta. I mean, there's a lot to.
All right, I think I'm gonna roll with Emiliano Grillo at 6,700. Grillo's been playing well. Obviously, we saw him he couldn't quite catch JT Poston at the John Deere. Finishes runner-up. Grillo has played in a couple Open Championships. In fact, finished 12th last year, 12th in 2016. Good ball striker, can't putt worth a lick, but pays off in tough conditions, I think. So I'll go with Grillo.
Okay. Interesting. All right, I think I might go with another live guy here.
Ooh, wow. Didn't see this coming.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Sean Norris. Sean Norris at 6,600. 8 of 10 cuts made this year. He actually played. Didn't he play pretty well in the PGA Championship? He played all right in the PGA Championship, but he did win a tournament this year. So I will go with Sean Norris at 6,600.
Okay. I'm really excited about this guy because I love my Koreans, and I think this kid's an electric factory as well. I've already seen our buddy Siwoo Kim talking him up on Instagram, but Ju Young Kim is currently T12 after round 2 at the Scottish Open, and in 2 rounds at the Scottish Open, he's made 4 bogeys. That's pretty good in these 2 rounds to make 4 bogeys. The kid's a player, 23rd at the U.S. Open, 17th at the Byron Nelson. This is his first Open Championship, but again, this kid is a stud. He's $6,500. Ju Young Kim is my next selection.
Ju Young Kim. Okay.
I can't figure out how much salary I have. I don't think I have much left. I
gotta get into the 6,400 range.
I got to do something weird here.
I'm going to go with, okay, this guy screwed me this week, but I'm still, Mark Hill, what was your problem with this guy? I hope you get him right this week. Calling out Mark Hill. John Catlin from the United States of America, but plays most of his golf on the European Tour. Did have the 4th place finish at the Irish Open, top 25 at the Volvo Car Scandinavian Mixed. Top 25 at the Porsche European Open. John Catlin at 6,400 is going to be my pick there.
Okay. All right. Now, this is a sneaky pick. All right. This is a really good pick. I hope people are paying attention because this dude is minimum price. Speaking of Mark Hill talked him up on our DFS show last week and said he liked him. He's a Scotsman, and his name is David. He's got to be great, right? David Law at 6,000.
David Law
made the cut at the Scottish Open on the number. Also finished 4th at the Irish Open just 2 weeks ago. Okay. David Law, the Scotsman, for me is rather interesting. He's got some decent finishes. Like the guy's won on the DP World Tour. He's won in the Challenge Tour. T14th at the BMW PGA Wentworth this past year. Like, the guy showed up at some big events, and he's bare minimum price, baby. Give him to me. My team is stacked, dude. I might actually like roll this thing out.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Shit. No, he's 6,500. Fantasy National has him wrong. Damn it. He's 6,500. Okay. Anyway, I'm still good. Go ahead. Why do I think he's Fantasy National has him as bare minimum? Are there 2 David Laws?
You can't
Anyway,
possibly be.
There's not. Okay.
Okay, I got another one I'm going to. It's 6,500. Another South African, Xander Lombard.
Also,
Xander Lombard. He's made a lot of cuts. This guy's made a lot of cuts.
I've made a math mistake. The David Law thing threw me off. There's no way I can finish within the $3,900.
Why aren't you using the content that I set up so that
I am using it. I'm looking at it, but then when I hit the David Law thing, it messed me all up. So I can't do it. Damn it. All right. Okay, what do you want me to do? All right, hold on. Who'd you pick? Xander Lombard?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to toss out I guess I'm going to toss out D-Law. And now I got 2 picks, and I got 12.
What's our total again? 39,000?
39,000 is as much as we can do. All right, so I'm going to go. I can't trust Fantasy National with the prices here at the bottom. Should I go Todd Hamilton?
Oh, no, you can't do that.
Let me go with. I'm going to go. Can I do that? Damn it, I can't do that. I'm screwed. I'm going real studs and duds here. Oh, dang it. I'm going real studs and duds. All right, I'm going to go with another South Korean. Min-Kyu Kim. Min-Kyu Kim is 6,100, and I have no idea why. And then your go.
All right, well, I have 6,400 left. So I'm going to go with this guy just is he's kind of electric, to be honest. And he's also has a very good cut making record. But Marcus Armitage is at 60. Actually, he's at 6,500. So I'm going to save $100. And I'm going to go with Marcus Armitage, who is a guy who's made 11 of 13 cuts on the European Tour this year, including 37th in his last start at the Irish Open, 31st at the Dutch Open, 21st.
Okay.
Wait. Can I tell? Wait. Did you know there was a tournament called the Betfred British Masters
hosted by
Danny Willett?
Duh. Come on, you picked Danny Willett. You didn't even know he hosted his own tournament?
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, there you go.
I'm going to go with the guy that has the most UK name I've ever heard of, and he's at 6,000. Ronan Mullarney, the Irishman. Ronan Mullarney. I'm pretty sure he got in on. I'm almost positive of this. He won the Fairmont qualifier. Yes, the Fairmont, the hotel you and I stayed at, Pat. He won he placed in that. Let's see, Fairmont Open qualifying on a windswept day, final qualifying day. Nope, I completely whiffed. Hell if I know who Ronan Mullarney is, but he's on my
whatever. Just go with him.
All right, so my team is Keith Mitchell, Chris Kirk, Emiliano Grillo, Jungyoung Kim, Min-Kyu Kim, and Ronan Mullarney.
And my team is Marcus Armitage, Alexander Bjork, John Caitlin, Justin Harding, Xander Lombard, and Sean Norris.
There we go. There you have it. The Tour Junkies DFS first impressions show. Okay, more to come, more content. Pat, you were great. Thank you for being you, brother. And listen, get in the contest, get involved. May your screens be green. Let's have a great week. See ya.
Oh!